Yes, sir. It is I, your boy from Bed-Stuy, and I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in for Don't F Up the Crime Scene, where me, special guests, will tune in and talk about our experiences on crime scenes and how to mess up the case. All right? So sit back and enjoy and holler back at your boy. Holla.
Morning. It is the 5th day of April 2022, and I am here today as your host of the Code Enforcement Network. My co-host, P. Roque, couldn't be here today, but no worries. We have a phenomenal a phenomenal guest. I'm losing my words here, Mr. Kevin Hurst. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, I haven't had enough coffee. In any case, we had an awesome conversation before we came on, and we're going to dive into that a little bit more because I think it's super important to hear the message that Kevin has to tell us. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of all that good stuff, I'd like to introduce Mr. Kevin Hurst, who is a consultant to code departments, national trainer, and an animal safety guru. So if you are looking for someone that you want to bring on board, that you want to have come and present for your jurisdiction, for your team, even if you're out there doing animal control or anything like that, any other type of service, whether it's postal service, anything that has to do with interaction of animal safety and keeping safe out in the field, this is your guy. So with that, good morning, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, CC?
How's it going?
I'm great. You know, I'm always ready. I'm ready. Let's get it.
That's right. So we're going to start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive in. How are you? Who are you? Who's Kevin? What makes the world turn for Kevin?
All right. So I am a cruelty investigator by trade, adjunct professor for the University of Missouri Law Enforcement Training Institute. I'm still working in the animal control field. I've been raised and born and bred on animal control throughout Georgia. I did that for about 26 and a half years. I've been an adjunct for about 12 years. And I, have a consulting firm that's on Big Time Speakers, LLC, that I go across the country. Everybody hires me. And I put my peeps on, my dude and dudettes, and we get it cracking. We talk about animal cruelty to code enforcement to law enforcement type of problems they have with dealing with Fluffy. And make sure we can actually save Fluffy. We have to investigate Fluffy or try to correct the irresponsible pet owners. And, educate, investigate, eliminate the problem. That's it.
Right. That's amazing. You know what I really like that you said, I'm a consultant with Big Time Speakers LLC, and I cannot love that name enough. I think that is Big Time Speakers LLC. I mean, if that doesn't tell you a lot about who you guys are, what you do, what you bring forth nationally, I don't know what else would, right? I think it's amazing that you've been an adjunct professor for 12 years. It's something that we really look for, as far as diving into training components. I know for me, when I'm leading my teams, that's one thing that I really seek out is who am I going to bring forth, what their level of experience is, their background as far as, okay, is this going to fit? Is this going to fit our company? Is this going to fit my team? Are they going to get something out of this training? And I can't tell y'all enough that we actually had Kevin on last year to do an animal safety presentation for us. And it was just outstanding. We were talking, Kevin, just a little bit ago, how important it is to really understand the dynamics of that. Because when we talk about, for example, in code enforcement, as you know, we talk about, we have to be safe, right? Officer safety is always number one for many of us, right? If not all of us, it should be. It's important because we're interacting all the time with different folks from different walks of lives. However, it's not just officer safety from a direct attack from a person. It's officer safety in walking in and out of buildings. It's officer safety in, disaster-prone areas when you're following up, doing assessments. It's officer safety when you're encountering different types of animals while out in the field. Can you dive in a little bit as to what led you to kind of get into, officer safety or animal control safety, if you will, with some of the stories, some of the things that maybe you've seen, downfalls, things that we should be looking at a little bit more closely and learning from?
Okay. So the biggest thing, I grew up in my background is animal control, and I did that for several years in different capacities, stuff like that. And then I kind of fell into animal cruelty, which is my forte, which I love. I love investigations. And then I was taken under the wing of Dr. Merck, who kind of punched me and put me in a headlock. She's a world-renowned forensic veterinarian, and she made me get serious about my craft. But let's talk about my early career. Being an ACO is similar to being a code enforcement officer, where you go out there and you go to the public and you answer complaints. Because, a lot of us don't understand. Not when people call 911, they call to complain and hope they get the right person that's coming out, right? So when you get there, hopefully you got the information from the dispatcher, communications, fax, or whatever. You get the information, and then hopefully you haven't fall into automatic pilot where this is routine. It's hard because we do this so much. It's hard to not get out the vehicle and not bring your safety equipment. Don't preserve the area before you get out, because you've done it so many times. So my thing is like, treat every call as the first. Difficult after 5 years. Difficult. So when you go out, you're like this. Okay, what do I see? Is the gate broken? Is it open? All right. How many toys in the yard? Is there a beware dog sign? Is there a dog? Is there a dog ball? And I go through what's my exit plan in case killer comes out. Okay, because I love me. I love me so much. Okay, it's team me, because I want to make sure I make it back to my vehicle so I can drive away. But when I'm out there, I want to actually knock on the door and move a few steps back so I can see what's going on. Am I listening for a dog? Am I listening for a person? I want to figure out, how do they answer the door? And I go through a segment where I knock on the door. It's two types of knocks, okay? I'll do them real quick. That's interview. That's po-po. So depending on knock on the door, you might get a response, okay? And the same thing with the animal. Cats don't react like that. Cats go in the corner and look at you. Dogs will bark, high pitch, low pitch, ferocity, vicious. You don't know. But if you see the dog from afar, you can, for the most part, judge the body language. And then you go from there. I've been doing this so long that sometimes I actually get on automatic pilot, but not when I'm training. If I'm FTOing, I do everything by the book. I follow SOPs, stuff like that. I make sure, because I don't want to teach anybody bad habits. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, we've been in this business where you're like this. I got this. And you like, bop, 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 bop. But the person you're training is like, bop, bop. What the hell does bop, bop mean,
Yeah.
And, you're used to just going through it, And when I get out there, I'm like this. Okay, I slow it down. The biggest thing is rapport, and where is the dog? If it's a dog, where is it at? You don't want to, and I show this in classes, you don't want to knock on the door. Don't give yourself enough space. We call that a reactionary gap. You have to give yourself enough space to react. And you want to have something in your hand to feed the dog if it comes to you. That's a book. That's a clipboard. That's anything that can potentially keep you from getting bit. And the biggest thing I would tell anybody and everybody who's listening, do not fall. One fall, that's all. Okay? Real talk.
Right.
You do not want to go to the ground. You want to get up, stuff like that. Maintain your alpha presence if possible, and go about your job. Me, it's rare that I come out with a catch pole, depending on what it is. But I have an ass baton. I might wand back, or a leash I might spin around, or, my favorite is the umbrella. I bring an umbrella. Dog come at me. I go like this, the umbrella. The dog's like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Shazam. The dog's like, what the hell is that? It's a force field, damn it. It's a force field. I just move the animal back, and I go about my business. I don't worry about it because I'm so used to doing this. But my job is to establish rapport, make sure everything is safe, and de-escalate so I can resolve the problem. And I have fun doing it. Now, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm ancient in the field.
I love that. You're ancient. Well, shoot, if you're ancient, I'm trailing you. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. You know what? Couple key points. You mentioned something so important. You said, when I'm out in the field, whether it's FTO, I'm training the new guy, the new gal, I'm doing everything by the book, because
Right.
You're right. when we get out there, oftentimes we want in and we want out. And we're so automatic because of the years of service that you're like, boom, boom, boom. I always say, when you've been in this business for so long, you can show up to a property and call out 10 violations just while sitting at your car, right? Because you're so good. You're automatic. Yeah. But what is true is, if you're training somebody, you want them to learn through your SOP, through your policies, procedures. You want them to understand every facet of what you do, how you do it, so that they don't pick up anything else outside of that procedure. And then eventually they're going to find their niche, right? They're going to find what works for them. And also, then you keep going through and you keep learning from the person that's training you, and you pick up some of those tools of the trade. But essentially, you want to funnel back to that. So I think that's really awesome. The other thing you said, that's the other thing that comes in when we've been doing this for so long. Sometimes, we get a little bit of a big head because we're like, hey, I've been in this business for so long. I got this. I'm good. I go in and I go out and I'm all right. But that's complacency, right? That can be complacency. Yes, we can be good at what we do. But when we start getting complacent, that love that we have for ourselves starts to kind of dwindle a little bit because we're like, we're good, and we're not really auto-focused on keeping truly safe.
Well, the biggest thing, I agree. The biggest thing I've seen is going from field to sometime office and losing your skills because you've been in the office. So when you have to go back in the field, you're rusty. You're just rusty, and you're like this. Oh, damn. Because you got complacent a little bit. And then I'm like this, okay, because I took off 26. I was off out in the field, I was off maybe 2 years. I was just teaching. And then when I got back to working, I was rusty. CC, I was actually rusty. I got out there and I'm like this, you think it's going to come back like, Shimon, right? It did not Shimon, okay? I was like, oh, damn. You get caught out there like this, and you hear that, oh, no. Oh, no, and then it comes back and you're like, okay, there I am. Like now, when I go out, I think I'm flying out somewhere. I come in there and I like to do a ride along if possible in the area that I'm at, because I still learn. And I want to pick up tricks of the trade that I can use to be better. I've been doing this a long time, but I still learn, and a lot of people don't think, they're like, well, I've been there, done this. And I've seen everything. You might have. But getting complacent, like you said, bad for your health, When I knock on doors, stuff like that, I go out here, stuff like that, I'm like this, okay, what if this happens? What if this happens? I go through a whole what if, a big what if, And I'm like this, okay, so in case it goes, I'm like this, I'm prepared. I'm a big OODA. I'm a big OODA person. It's a military term, again, it's being observe, orient, decide, and act. I'm huge because I gain off my experiences not to do them again. I have 2 kids, terrible and bearable. One of them, CC, is she learns from other people's mistakes. My son, I love him. The boy's slow. He has to go through it, CC. He has to go through it. And I don't want none of anybody we talking about to go through it. Learn from somebody else's mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I digress.
Right. No, I like that. Terrible and bearable. I'm going to have to remember that. Awesome. That's really great. No, you're absolutely right. The other thing, too, that you said, Kevin, was, not only loving yourself, not becoming complacent, but always treating every call as if it's your first. And the important thing about that is that your interaction, right? Your interaction, the way that you show up, even the knock, the example that you gave, and I cannot agree with you enough on that. That will set the tone for the rest of the interaction that you're going to have, whether it's with a person, whether it's with an animal. That's going to set the tone because they're going to vibe off of what you're putting out, right? If you're showing up with that hard knock, you're already exuding that enforcement, right? That presence.
Right.
Versus, hey, I'm here to just chat and figure this out. Can we get this done? Right. So that is super instrumental. One of the things too is combining that with perhaps what you're saying, right? Your vibe that you're putting out, how you're showing up. I always say that kinesics is super important because kinesics is all gestures, right? How you're looking at people, because you could be speaking words and speaking loudly with your
eyebrows. We call it the micro expressions, and
Exactly.
a lot of people don't understand kinesis at all. And my thing is, I pick up on a lot of things when I walk in the yard. Okay, I come on the block. If I see a flag, you like a particular team, I'm like this. Got it. I pick up on so much. Okay, then I smell something cooking. I'm like this. I'll anything to gain rapport,
Yes.
right, and resolve. You got to meet them. Hopefully here, because when you knock on the door, they don't know they was causing a problem. You're the problem. And the thing is just like, okay, hey, I'm Officer Hurst. Because you've been cursed out before. I've been cursed out. Woo! And some of them are good. Some of them are so good. I'm like this. Oh, man, that was a good one. Let me write that one down. Because it's so good. I'm like, I felt that, you know? But then I'm like this. And I give everybody 90 seconds verbal judo where I let them burn sugar off, right? I'm like this, okay. All right. I don't offer them another Snickers, but I'm like, we okay now? And then we go. All right. And then as far as the animal takes cues, especially this dog, from their owner. So if the owner's hot, the dog might be hot or apprehensive or defensive. And that can be a big problem. So what I try to go like this, calm them down, put Fluffy over here, because I don't want to handle Fluffy and handle you. I want to show read like this. We're working this out. All right. This is the we talk about huddle for football. We go like this. Let's talk, and go from here. I'm like this. Hey, I'm here. I had a complaint. Then I tell them real quick. I'm not sure who the complainant was. It came in anonymous. True or false? It don't make a difference because first thing they say, what they say? Who called? I know it's Miss Jackson, right? You're like, dude, I'm not here for that. You're like, Musa, help me get through this. But as far as doing with the animals. Sometimes it's the animals, but usually it's a neighbor dispute because somebody called about high grass, right? Yep. Or they called about the booming music or noise violation. You're like this. So when you get there, they're on guard, you know? And I'm like this. It's like, I got to try to figure this out. You know? And it can be challenging. At the same time, at this point, Cece, I'm so woosah, girl, nothing coming to me forcefully. We might have a little problem. Other than that, I'm like this, hey, let's talk. They like this. You want something to drink? Absolutely. We sit down and talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And, you know, and that's exactly it. They'll try to pry you for that information. I know who called. It was the neighbor next door, right? And you're looking at them like poker face.
Right.
I'm not going to that way because they're going to know the moment that I look over that.
Right.
Like, right now, Adam, what? No, you know, you start having a conversation. You know, relating to them also, like you said, if there's a barbecue going on, I got here just in time for lunch.
Exactly.
Just breaking the ice, right? Yes. Making sure you're cutting through that tension. Because I always say, you know, when you show up, especially for those of us that are in uniform, they already have a preconceived notion, right? They have a perception of what they think that interaction is going to be like because you're showing up in uniform. And I always say, you know what, you can wear a pink shirt with purple polka dots and still rock out that communication if you're on point with that you know, relatable content. Hey, how are you? Hey, those roast bushes, awesome.
There you go. Exactly.
Hey, what about that plastic in your driveway? Oh man, I'm saving up for one of those or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? You're breaking the ice. You're making sure that you're connecting with the folks. That plays a lot into that officer safety component too, because now they're not looking at you as a threat per se. They're looking at you like, okay, this is a person. They're probably going to tell me some news, but I think I can handle the news a little bit better.
Right.
I always say too, Kevin, you know, when we're issuing a notice of violation after the inspection, so once we've completed the inspection, you know, always let them know, hey, by the way, you're going to receive a letter in the mail, right? And it's going to be formal. It might say notice of violation or notice in order. And I let them know ahead of time of the wording because when we receive a piece of mail, just you and I, and we see those words, we're like, what?
Right. You're like this.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. You're like, this is cool.
Right, exactly. So if you let them know ahead of time, hey, you're going to receive a letter. It's formality, but you and I already talked. We're going to work together on this. Then it takes away from that little cut, right? From adding insult to injury, if you will.
Right.
Excuse me. So it's really important to make those connections. So Once you're on the property, what are some of the things that you feel are super important outside of just establishing that rapport, right? Connecting, being relatable with someone. What are some other things that you think are super essential to keep in mind?
All right, so depending on what the call is, if it's a regular routine call about saying a dog was running loose, the mailman or the code enforcement officer got chased back, those are easy. It's like, okay, where is your animal first? Because I don't want shit trying to kill me. So make sure Fluffy's put away safely so we can converse and have. Be careful of going to somebody's house. I like to conduct everything at the front door or outside because their house, I don't know where it is. I don't know who else is in there. So that's huge concern. And then never walk by the person to close the door. Allow them to walk and you close the door rather than behind because you never want somebody behind you, if that makes sense. Then establish a rapport, sit down like that. And again, so where's your dog at? Always be clear where's the dog at in question because again, you don't want any surprises, okay? And depending on how comfortable you are, I might be a clipboard with papers, stuff like that. I have my aspeton, past tense, have taser language. But again, when it's with the owner, it might be different. As soon as the owner raises his voice, so here we go. So say you and your spouse, it does not make a difference. It's guy, girl, girl. It does not make a difference. If you and your significant other has a disagreement or fight, the dog will choose sides. This will happen, okay? And you find out, oh, my dog doesn't really love you. No, it really don't. Same thing when you're talking to the suspect or whoever like that. You want to keep the voices down because the dog will go on guard. Not good. So if you can keep it formal and professional and low key and not raise your tone. I love what you said back before about tone. Tone is so key when you do anything and a level of how you come up because you can give me the side eye, but if your tone is down, I'm cool. You can even see that with typing sometimes. You get a message and they use all caps. It's like, what you saying? Yo, man, what you saying? So the same thing when you're talking to somebody, it's like watching the tone. The context makes and the content makes, but watch the tone because then I have to watch the body language. As far as the dog, I'm not going to lie to you. Depending on the movements of the owner, I worry about the dog. If the dog's like this, a subtle growl, I'm like this, uh-oh. And I watch the body language on the dog as far as the tail. Tail's energy. Tail be wagging, good. Tail be wagging, bad. But that's just energy. And I watch the hair, hackles, leaning forward, the ears. I watch everything. I'm like this, uh-oh. Fluffy about to get knocked out. But at the same time, I'm like this, hey, I feel more comfortable if you put the animal away. You need to control the environment, if possible, so you don't feel threatened. You can go ahead and get in there and get out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about what? Go in there, establish a rapport, we'll see what the problem is, give them a notice to comply, stuff like that, give them time, and say, hey, it's not that big of a deal, but I need you to understand it can get a little serious. And they have a nice tone to it where they're like this, oh, it's like that? Like you said with the letter, they're going to get a letter that's going to be formal. It's not going to be like how we talked, And same thing with the interaction. So my thing is know the layout and never, ever go inside the house and somebody's behind you. Not good.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You learn a lot from hearing you. And I know that I've heard you speak on this. And every time that you start going in on what we need to look for, it just reminds me of, okay. And this is why it's so important to have these conversations, Kevin, and why I appreciate what you do, because it goes back to what I said earlier is code enforcement, not every call is going to be the same, right? Everything's going to be different every single time. We have to be chameleons in this field to be able to kind of, navigate those waters, if you will, while we're having communications with folks. But in addition, we learn every day. We learn every single day. So everything that you just said right now is perfect. Yeah, having two people in a relationship, something's happening, dog's going to take sides, watching for the energy. Yes, a wagging tail could be happy, could mean other things, all of the symptomology or all the reactions, if you will, as to how that pet is reacting to you based on the energy that its human is putting out is also super important because they're gonna vibe off of that as well. And I'm a pet owner of three, three doggies, but each one of them are very different, and each one of them react super different. But nonetheless, their energy speaks to how they're vibing off of me or my husband or the kids. So that's really important to understand. The other thing too, you said, yeah, making sure that you're taking control of that inspection in the sense that you're allowing the person that lives there to take the lead, right? You're going to let them take the wheel in the sense that they're walking you around, because that way you don't put yourself in a position of disadvantage. You got your eyes on them the whole entire time, and you're keeping safe that way. But in addition to that, they know their temple better than anybody else.
Way better. Way better.
This is their home. They're going to know every nook and cranny, every extra room, anything that has to do with that space. They're going to know it better than we do. So that's super, super important to keep in mind. So when it comes down to tools that would be of help going out in the field, right? We talk about what we already come with, right? Our body language, our choice of words, our kinesics. That's something that we all have an ability to perfect, fine tune, if you will, work on. What other things do you think would be super helpful when we're sending our field staff out?
So, depending on areas, and remember, uniforms are already going to get a certain look. So, the more, I said, enforcement type of look, like SWAT, and it could be an issue for us versus a regular shirt, class A, to a polo, which is class B. It could be less intimidating. Depending on what situation, where it is, because sometimes you need to dress the part. When you go in, you want to look professional at all times. You don't want to look disheveled, because people take upon what you look like. They're like this. If you look half dressed, they're going to treat you that way. Okay. So I think every officer that's going on a property need to have at minimum an OC spray or aspartame at minimum. Okay. I think you should have a pen always in your polo or in your ear. Okay. This pen can do work, because I do tactical. I can do a lot of work to get whatever up off you, okay? And then to me, just your eyesight, stuff like that, because you guys won't have a catch pole or nothing like that. But a clipboard, depending on if it's a regular clipboard, a plastic or metal, that is a good tool, okay? That is a good tool to keep distance. The aspartame, make sure it gets recertified, make sure you handle like that, and practice all your strikes, stuff like that, with both hands. In case one of your hands go down, you can actually look like you're doing something with your left hand, okay? But again, you're there to resolve a problem and not attack anybody. You're there to resolve a problem that might be minor or major, but you don't want to assault nobody and you don't want to get assaulted. So again, the professional look right there, it's so far up, because you come out, again, looking disheveled, looking tacky. People want to take you like that. Me, I try to remain crisp all day. And when I come out, I'm assertive. I lean forward. I'm pretty tall and big guy, so I get that already. They're like this, they're like this. And then I say, hey, I'm Officer Hurst. They're like this. And I say it, for the most part, without a command voice, but I was like, hey, I'm Officer Hurst. I have a tone. And they're like this. I'm like this. Okay. And then it's the way I introduce myself with a handshake. Now, this is going to be in person. So it's and it's a psychology thing, okay? I can hold your hand and squeeze. I can hold it and turn it a little bit to take control of a conversation. But you got to know how to do that, okay? And it's just a lot of practice, okay? But the biggest thing is OC spray, in case you have to make somebody back, hit the dog. Now, with dogs and OC spray or mace or whatever, cayenne pepper, it can work. It cannot work. It can piss them off. They can like it, okay? With people, depending on the degree, if it gets in their aerosol and their nostrils like that, it should work. Eyes, whatever. But it gets up here, they'll choke. Aspartame, again, is just to move back and retreat. I'm not trying to go ham on you. People don't understand this, okay? When you have any type of apparatus where you have to swing or anything, it's to create distance and go to your truck. Create distance and move back, okay? You're not out there, like, hi-ya! Whoa! You're not doing anything like that. You're like this. Hey, get back. And that's one of the training. First thing we say is get back, get back. We announce, and then we say get back, and after that, all we want to do is retreat. We don't want to fight. Okay, for the most part, we don't want to fight because you have to demonstrate on what you did later on, and you have to say in SOP. And there are something called forgivable stripes, but you have to make sure you're attending to your SOP while this thing is going on. It's hard, and that's hard. Like getting attacked by a dog. Have you ever been bit by a dog?
I have actually, yeah. When I was younger.
So if it's younger, you still might have some feelings about that when an attack is happening, and it's either fight or flight. A lot of people don't get it. We had two people the other day inside a kennel get attacked, and this is a controlled environment in a kennel. This wasn't outside. This shouldn't have happened. But again, what you say, SOPs, failure to have protocols or failure to follow protocols. And then you can have the best training ever. But if you don't practice good tactics, your training is for naught. So no matter how great a teacher, instructor you are, if they don't go practice what they learn correctly, null and void. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. And to that point, it becomes super instrumental. For me, it's important for anybody out there that's doing code enforcement to have well-rounded training. I think that's
right.
super important. But also, I agree with you in that when you are taking on certain tools, like OC spray or an ASP, that you do have to have that ongoing training, because you don't get like a one-shot deal where you're like, hey,
Right.
I did the class and now like I have, I'm bulletproof. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that fight-proof. It doesn't work that way. You have to have that ongoing training all the time. You have to stay up on that. One class doesn't do it. It needs to be a consistent, hey, we got to take this. Hey, we got to recertify. Doing the SOP is super, super important as well. But ultimately, as you said, it's important to understand your SOP, because if you're already perceiving a threat, right? You already roll up to the property, you're perceiving a threat. That is your internal red flag telling you there's no reason why you need to continue this inspection. There really isn't.
Okay, so I can't speak upon most women, but some men are macho. I don't know what's wrong with us, okay? We have that Captain Kirk effect, okay? We think we can take on the green giant and all that stuff, right? We like, I got this, but it's all these red flags talking about stop, call back up, and let's look at this differently. But it's like, oh man, I'm Spartan, I got this. And then they might, how you say, until you get there and you hear that at this point, Kevin knew he was, you got to be careful. And again, as we get older, our reflexes slow down. Okay, it really does. So, when I go out there, I'm always like, and for whoever has to work night shift or on call, it's dangerous. After dark, going somewhere, it's dangerous. First of all, you knocking on somebody's door after dark, not good. It's just not good. And then, and then you're gonna get the, who is it? You're gonna get that, and you're like, well, how do you respond? Do you say, code enforcement? Do you yell back? What do you do? And then, because you're already up here, so it's difficult. I'm always, for the most part, I'm introduction, communication. I want to talk to you, knock. 99% of the time. Now, don't get it twisted, okay? When it's go time, I might even give you the aspartame knock when I'm hitting your door, okay? But I do my best to go like this. Hey, let's talk. Everything's workable. Everything, There's no sense in that things not be workable, because you have people like, once they hear, it's hard to bring them back, And then sometimes when another officer comes up, it goes right back up, And the officer is there for your safety, but they're like, oh, you brought back up, and then it's like, oh God, here we go, because you just got him down. Or you might have the officer who come in who means good, and they might be hyped, and you like, okay, here we go again, Well, all you want to do is just resolve the problem,
Right. Right, that's true. I've seen that both instances where you call law enforcement for backup, right, or to clear or keep safe or civil standby, whatever it may be.
Right.
And they show up and they're like, all right, what's my role? Talk to me, guys. What are we doing? What do you want me to do?
Right. Which is good. Right.
Exactly. So you have to debrief and let them know, hey, this is what I want you to do. Hey, go ahead and clear, make safe, maybe ID, just so that I know for future, so I know for now. And sometimes you'll get law enforcement come in and they already got that like bravado, right? Like, what do we do? And it's like, oh, no, just keep it chill. Just keep it chill.
Right.
Right. But it all comes in that communication as well as to how we're interacting with those departments and letting them know. And I always say, when you're having code enforcement convos, meet and greet. Hey, my name's Cece Muela, Kevin. I know you're law enforcement. I like to get to know you. Can we hook up for lunch? Let's talk about how we can interact. And you establish that rapport even with those departments, animal control, law enforcement, fire, anybody, so that when you do have those calls, you know exactly almost how you're going to interact.
I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of departments do not talk with each other. Do not work with each other. And then certain departments, they look like, because the stigma on animal control, they're dog catchers. Okay. Right. And then, that's a voodoo name in some places. Okay. And then like me, back when I was in Minnesota, and it cost her $36. Okay. This is, when she's 16, 17 years old. It taught her a valuable lesson about, overdrafting and banks like that, right? My son, I love him. I love my son to death. Just spoke to him yesterday, right? He's the type that will see Jason Voorhees lives here in blood dripping and hear the he's like, let's go. This looks like fun. Okay. Totally different, And how many kids you have?
I have 3. Yeah.
Okay. Boy, girl.
2 girls, one boy, and I get it. Yes. Some of them are a little bit more savvier, and the other one's like, no, we're doing this. We're all in. We're committed. We're getting it done. No. No, think about it.
Doing this job, you should learn from your mistakes, or at least learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
Or in training, listen to the mistakes other people made.
Yes, and to that point, I think everything that you said has been super helpful. Following that up with even working that in your groups as, doing a little bit of skits, right? Role play, if you will. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? I got to say that once upon a time when I worked for a jurisdiction, part of the interview process for our new code officers was something like that, where we had a scenario. And we had one of our admins come in, our ASOs, and she was the irate customer. And it was because we wanted to gauge not the story that someone's feeding you, right? Because everyone's going to tell you a story as far as why they're the best candidate. But we wanted to see them under pressure. So how are you going to react, right? What are you going to say? What are you going to do? And it was really interesting to see the dynamics of some of them. They were really reactionary. Some of them were like, well, let's figure this out. And others were just like, I don't know, let's what am I supposed to say? And I know that it could be a little bit of the element of being nervous because of the interview, but nonetheless, once you're in there, once you got your team talking about it, training on it, but then putting it to work, right? All right, let's go ahead and do the scenarios. And I think that's why it's so successful even when you have the ongoing training. As you mentioned, you do a lot of training, you keep up with that, you make sure that you're on point. It goes back to that, being able to put what you're learning into practice.
I do a lot of scenarios when I'm teaching because, don't get me wrong, some people auditory, some visual, and some of them practical. Adult learners love visual. They love visual for the most part because, whatever. But you can do death by PowerPoint and put somebody to sleep. Right. So I try to keep you up on engagement at the same time. Is this something you see? And I try to stay current. So I might show you a blast from the past, somebody getting mauled or attacked like that. And I'll show you something that happened yesterday. And I show you stuff like that. And then I say, okay, what would you do? And I'll pull anybody and everybody up and we go through a scenario. Okay. And My Spanish is okay, a little okay. So my Jamaican, well, okay. My Haitian, garbage, okay? So, I'll ad lib and do something like that. And, it's funny, but at the same time, it's serious. And some people really rise up to the occasion. And other people like this, they get like shook almost. They stunned. They're like this. They're like, oh, damn. I'm like, And this is practice. So what if this really happens? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's good to have those things in-house. So I used to, past tense a long time ago, we used to have 2 roll calls a day. And I would kind of meet with the officers. I have one of my officers do everything. I come in there and I'll go over something that happened yesterday. I said, hey, does anybody have any brain farts they need to tell me about? Because you do so many calls. You do something like that you forget. I call it a brain fart. It's not.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to write you up over. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to write you up. I'm like, hey, anybody get brain farts like that? Oh, yeah, I forgot this. Good, so somebody else can follow up, or you can follow back up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to kill you. Okay. At the same time, before the roll call is over, I always ask, does anybody have anything they want to suggest or think we should do? I don't have to have the right answers. Okay. I might have to prove them, but I don't have the right answer. So I'm like this, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. There is. But, for the most part, I'm like, what y'all got? And everybody feels they can give information. And I'm like this, okay, and like blah, 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 blah. And then we have in-service training quarterly where we go over stuff. We go over new stuff, bad stuff, best practices. We go over stuff. And you sign. You're like, hey, on this day I learned. Even if you ask for sleep, I don't care. You're going to sign. Blah, 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 blah. So I hold you accountable for you going out there. So I don't have to write you up for failure to read and understand, neglected duty, unbecoming. I don't have to do that. Now, will I? But I'd rather coach you up and put you in a game so you can get life experience. You know what I'm saying? It's about us. It's about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just shows great leadership because you're in a sense, you're prepping them, right? Hey, if you have a question about something, come to me. Let's get ahead of it before you get into a situation. I'd much rather talk about it, discuss it, hash it out. Everyone's listening. Everyone's here. We're all picking up the same information.
Right.
Great.
Right.
Now let's go out and do the thing versus I don't want to ask, I'm too shy. And then you go out there and do the thing. Something happens and then you have to come back, and explain yourself. Oh, I should have asked you beforehand. Because usually we'll say, why don't you come talk to me, right? With that too, I always like to challenge our managers, supervisors, officials out there. When you tell your staff that you have an open door policy, don't shut that door and crack open a window. If you have an open door policy and you're telling them, come to me, really make yourself available. Really make yourself available so that they feel comfortable enough to say, okay, maybe they already told me this 10 times, but I'm going to ask the 11th time. And we much rather have you come that 11th time and ask us, right? We can fix everything else later, but come to us first, talk to us, let us know so that we can send you out with the information that you need that keeps you safe, essentially. It's not just something that we're going to be like,
I always say, when in doubt, reach out. Okay?
Yes.
When in doubt, reach out. We had an officer, and one thing about all my officers know, if they do something and get injured on the job like that, if I have a chance to go there, I'll take a picture of everything, I'm going to show them in the PowerPoint. I'm going to put them on the screen, okay? So we had an officer who asked for a backup. He was there with Sheriff's Department serving a warrant. They had like 17, 18 officers doing a search warrant, right? And he needed backup. He had 2 German Shepherds in a crawl space, but they wanted to check that, right? He needed backup because he didn't feel safe. He called for backup. I said 10-4, 10-12. I'll have somebody out there, 10-18, blah, 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 right? He didn't wait for backup. He succumbed to the peer pressure of the other officers. Come on, man, you got this, man. You got this. You got this. No. He went in there by himself, succumbing to the pressures of peer pressure, not waiting for his backup. Goes inside the door and everything, gets one dog correctly, like that. Didn't secure the door, the trap door. The other dog comes out. One dog, okay. 2 dogs, pack mentality. Alpha, beta, bad. Other dog circles him, tries to bite him. The dog he had on secure bit his leg. He goes down. The other one starts attacking him. So he has both dogs attacking him. And all the sheriff deputies are like, they don't know what to do because they can't shoot the dogs because they'll shoot him.
Right.
And then he got ate up pretty bad. Okay. By that time, my rest of my guys get there, get the dogs and everything like that, and he's pissed. I'm like, how can you be pissed at not following directions after you call that? Now, I have to go to the hospital, make sure he's okay. It's OJI, but I'm like this. And now I have to do what? Write him up for not following. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my thing is for you guys out there, whoever's listening, if you ask for help, wait for the damn help.
Right.
Don't succumb to the peer pressure like this. Okay, I'm waiting for backup. They do it. You should do it.
Yeah.
And it's rare for me to call backup, but I do. That's no pride. I'm like this. Hey, I need help. Oh, you need help? Damn, I asked for it. Come on, chop chop. Come over here, and we get a plan together, and we go about business. I learned a long time ago. You get one life out of this.
Yeah.
You get one spin at the wheel. And you should never succumb to peer pressure. This is us. We're adults. We're a little older. We understand younger people do. But me to you, never succumb to peer pressure. When something you can control, and you have people coming to help you, wait.
Right. And that's so true. Like you said, you're behind the wheel and you decide how that rest of that road trip's going to look for you throughout life. How your journey is going to end up based on the decisions that you make, and based on, again, the pressures, dealing with the pressures, really understanding your strength as far as the mental component of, no, I got this, I'm going to wait.
Right.
Going back to the siloed mentality, staying away from the silos. Yes, we're code. Yes, there's building. Yes, there's law enforcement. Yes, there's fire and all the other departments. But there's nothing that says that we have to live in a box. If anything, they have to think out of the box, right? We have to be able to have our lifeline in the form of the contacts that we need on our phone so that we can go ahead and make those connections. But in addition to that, to really understand the value of relying on other departments to assist us. If we're going to a property that has problematic animals, let's go ahead and get the people that are trained for that to come out and assist us. I mean, that's their jam. That's what they do every day, right?
That's how me and Marcus met.
Yeah.
I did a in-service, because I think Zellers said, hey, I got a guy. I never seen Marcus. I get there and everything, and then he heard my accent from Brooklyn. He from Brooklyn. We boys. And then I'm like this. And then anytime we have something, I'm like this 10-4. We work as a team. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing,
Right. And that's exactly it. You want to work as a team. You want to establish those relationships, right? You never know when you're going to need of each other. And not only that, but you also learn each other's procedures and processes, right? Okay, I'm going to wait for code, or, I'm going to wait for law enforcement or animal control or fire, because you establish those relationships. I think, for those of you that are out there that are looking for, pretty robust, substantial training and really want to understand the tools of the trade, Kevin is the man to go to for these particular training types. And like he mentioned before, he has, big time speakers LLC, and he provides other training mechanisms for those that are looking for those. How does someone get a hold of you, Kevin, if they want to reach out for training?
They can hit me up at kdhurst.com. bigtimespeakers.com. They can look at my bigtimespeakers@gmail.com. Just look me up. It's easy to find me. Me and my son have the same name, but I'm senior because I'm senior, damn it. And yeah, that's me. That's yes, that's me. And I own all those domains, stuff like that. But if you just need to get to me directly, it's always kdhurst@gmail.com. You can get to me immediately. I return everything, probably the evening, stuff like that. And I give you my Google number and we could talk, because I'm very personable. I don't stand off, and I travel. Have you been traveling since the whole pandemic?
You know what? I've traveled quite a bit. Yes, I've traveled quite a bit this year. So it's been actually pretty nice to go in person and see, our family of code officers nationwide. It's been really great. Yeah.
I think Jennifer, of course, Greg, I see my boy Mills right here. Appreciate all you guys. I appreciate Cece having me. As Mark say, I'm going to stay. I really appreciate it. You need me anytime. You know how to reach me.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a true pleasure for us. It always is. Such a dynamic speaker, such a dynamic person, wealth of knowledge. Someone that I know I am reaching out to for my own, trying to get that message around the world to help others. A couple of things that I just kind of want to recap on our conversation this morning. Obviously, Mr. Kevin Hurst, consultant, national trainer, animal control safety guru. We already covered that important part of it. But in addition to that, we talked about having that exit plan, making sure that you have something ready to go. If you feel that something's going haywire, you're in the property, what's your exit strategy? Have you talked about it? Have you trained on it? Have you had meetings about it with your staff? What does that look like? Complacency. Don't live in that world. Don't live in that mindset. Keep learning. Keep, skillful and mind open, if you will, your mind open, so that you're not falling into complacency. Love thyself. Right? Love thyself. Take care of you. Remember how much
me, baby. It's about me.
Exactly. Go home safe by keeping those things in mind. And in the words of Vanilla Ice, stop, collaborate, and listen. You're at the property. Follow your SOP. Make sure that you're staying in tune with your SOP. Make sure that for things that are out there that are going to be harmful to you, and always make sure you ask the questions. If you're in doubt, when in doubt, call the boss, call Kevin.
Reach out, man.
And that's a wrap.
So many folks out in the cook community that are willing to give you time to speak to you so that we can go ahead and hash things out, to include your bosses. So with that, we appreciate everybody's time this morning. Kevin, it's been a true pleasure. And I can't wait for continued chat.